Welcome to the Spiritual Connection Podcast. I am your host, Jill. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about your energy, their energy, manifesting, mindset, creating high vibrational healing for you, body work, the importance of massage and self-care, and much, much more. Let's get rolling. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritual Connection Podcast. Again, my name is Jill, and today I am so grateful and thrilled to share my podcast with my friend Rayah. She is a local healer, a massage therapist, energy worker in our community. And I brought her on to share her story. We're going to get to know her a bit. And she will be just sharing her wisdom and tidbits of what she does in her healing business. So, hi, Rayah. Say hello to the crowd.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being here and taking interest in coming on to share. I'm so very grateful again to have an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better on a different level. So I wanted to begin, Rayah, just sharing your story for the listener to learn a little bit more about you. So can you share a bit of where you grew up?
Yeah, actually, I grew up on the East Coast and I've been out here now in Colorado for about 5 years. But before that, I lived in Wyoming for around 7 years. So I've been out west now for most of my adult life. But yeah, I grew up in Connecticut and I traveled all over the US and kind of ended up on the West. So
Very nice. What inspired you to travel?
I used to be part of a traveling theater company.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're an actress?
I suppose so, but it's so funny because I still get nervous like getting up in front of crowds or doing anything of that nature. But sometimes when I tell myself like it's okay, you can like put on a character, then it's like a little bit easier. Or but
Yes. And
yeah,
maybe even wearing like a costume too would be
yeah,
helpful.
yeah. It definitely helps to like create the whole environment or tell yourself that you can do this or just that whole idea.
A whole nother persona. Very
Mhm.
cool. What are some of your other hobbies that you're interested in?
So I actually don't do acting anymore, even though I would love to. It's just taking the time to memorize lines and all of those kinds of things. There's just not really space for that right now in my life. But I love yoga. I love art. I love nature, hiking, hanging out with my pets. I have two dogs and two cats. So we got a big, big pet home.
Yeah, life's better with critters, isn't
Yes, it
it?
is.
We have so much opportunity in this beautiful state too to get out in nature, and it's really not too far from home. We're
Yeah.
very blessed and grateful to have it all around us in all
We are.
directions.
I like every time I'm driving home from work, I'm always just so grateful for the area I live in because it's so beautiful. Like any day you look out and you're like, oh my gosh, these mountains are incredible. These lakes around us. We have a lot.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. I grew up in Illinois where it was very flat there. Our highest point was the landfill,
Oh no.
which is much less nostalgic than what we have now every single
Yes.
day. So that's wonderful. Very good. So tell me a little bit about what kind of inspired you to get into healing work and the story of your school, and kind of tell me that journey of the step by step of how you got into where you are currently now.
So, really, what inspired me to do massage therapy as a career is that I needed something to do to support my children and something that I knew I could pick up quick because it is only like a year of study. But I've always wanted to be in some form of capacity, some type of healing work. I knew that much. I originally wanted to be a nurse and I went to school for that for a while, but after life took a different direction, I did some like CNA work, and that was incredible and I think very healing to a lot of people, but also extremely hard on the body. And so one day I just kind of thought like, hey, I bet I could do massage therapy. And so I went to school for it, and it was just exactly where I was supposed to be.
Very cool. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been a massage therapist now for a little over 2 years.
Wonderful. And there's so much reward in doing healing work. And it takes a certain kind of empathic type personality, I think, to really be present, with the client's needs and be really tuned into what they're sending you, right? Because
Definitely.
you had mentioned to me in prior conversations that you also practice energy work. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey through that?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always been in tune a little bit to maybe higher powers or that sort of nature. What's coming to me right now is actually when I was really little, around 7 years old, I actually lost my favorite childhood pet. And I had just really been out of sorts when I lost her. And I remember I felt like there was two angels that were sent to me in the form of dogs. And I had actually lived in a campground, and these two dogs would follow me everywhere I went after she had gone. And they eventually one day just disappeared into thin air. Like that's all I don't know if I was a child and I didn't know what I saw, but that's what I think happened. And so to me, I believed even then that they were angels. And so I always had this like connection, I guess you can say, to divine. And that's always been throughout my entire life through different things. But then when I was in massage school, my teacher actually told me that I was going to be an energy healer, and I kind of was kind of thrown off by it. And at that point in my life, I was almost turned away from a lot of spiritual things in any form. But I was like, okay, yes, I am in tune with like people. I can feel what's going on with their body. I can sense like sometimes during that time it was, this spot here feels like there's something emotional going on in someone, or this feels sad, but I couldn't really make the connections much deeper than that because I was just learning what bodies really felt and experienced through the touch of massage therapy. But then she brought in a Reiki healer at one point, and basically after we had done chakra work the last month in our class, the Reiki healer came over to my heart chakra and placed her hands on them and instantly just like healed a lot of things that I was feeling and what was going on. And from that point on, I knew like I wanted to do Reiki healing.
Yeah. Yeah. That being able to feel it is powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of power in our feelings.
Yeah. So tell me about your belief system around emotional pain, physical pain, emotional pain, and how we can store it in our bodies. Have you
Wow.
experienced that with clients where you got like intuitive hits around that kind of stuff where you were able to touch them and feel what emotion was stuck there?
Definitely. I would say that's actually a huge part of my work. And I don't know if this is more of a recent thing within the last few months, if it's, I almost feel like the universe is calling maybe even body workers or healers to be more in tune with that in general. And so, like, that's coming through in my healing as well. Like, I will touch somebody's hip and be like, okay, you're storing something here. Or, like, just today, I had a client where I felt like in her ankle, that's where she was storing like her past and old stories that she needs to let go of. So there's definitely different things that come through all parts of the body. And when you can, like, I feel when clients can make that connection when they're being physically touched, that's so powerful and it enables them to really release a lot of what's been stored.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you had experiences with clients where they did get a bit emotional?
Definitely. Yeah. I would
Yeah.
say probably a big portion of my clients tend to get some form of emotions, whether that's, a release of sadness or grief that's been built up, or even just like joy, pure joy comes through too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so powerful, as a healer that you're able to create safe space like that for your client in order for them to let that kind of stuff percolate and surface and then come out. Because a lot
Yeah,
of times, some people don't want to talk about their feelings, right? They prefer the stuffing mechanism, right? Which, as you know, as a healer, and over time, it creates a lot of physical distress and pain and disease, and it can cause some major health issues if their traumas aren't dealt with.
totally. And I mean, I think we all struggle with that to some degree, where there's just certain areas in our bodies or whatever that we do stuff them. And it's the key to, I guess, healing is like always being willing to work through it and know that it's the process, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that creates, an environment when you're with the healer where that person can relax enough into that to allow that to happen, you
Definitely.
know?
Yeah.
And do you feel once they do that, their pain dissipates or goes away altogether?
Oh, that's what's so interesting about pain is with an energy, I guess, stance on it is sometimes I'll be massaging people and I'm like, okay, this is like a large knot or this is like a really stuck area. And then it's like my brain goes, oh, yeah, don't forget you're doing Reiki. Give them some Reiki to this area, send some, love, some energy. And then I will literally feel the muscle change. And it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that vulnerability moment is so powerful, and just the mind body connection as the patient or the client is feeling that tension kind of melt away. When they
Mm-hmm.
can feel that happening, it's huge validation for them that things can shift for them, that they're not in a permanent state of being stuck, right? And holding on
Yeah.
to that forever.
Right. I think that's like one of the most incredible things about the work that we do is we get to see people change within an hour, within 90 minutes. Like they walk in and they walk out a different person,
Yeah.
or I don't know if different's the right word, but they walk out with a different experience of feelings, I think, than what they
Yeah.
came in with.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, or something else perhaps within your career, what do you hold in highest value in regards to the healing work that you do? Where's the most
I
important
just,
piece of that, you think, for you?
hmm, highest value as in what do I esteem for like to be of highest value for my clients or
For you
maybe
personally, like for the work that you do, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to do healing work, right? And maintain your energy and your own mental stability, right? And be able to protect yourself from all the sensitivities that you bestow inside. My question would be like, what do you hold in the highest regard for the work that you do that serves you at the deepest level?
I think it's just that sorry, I feel like I'm gonna get emotional with that question. Um, so I think it's just that realization that we're not alone and we all have these like connections with like each person that I feel like each person that I work on and do energy work, I'm like, yeah, I feel that, or I've been there. Or, like I know that you can receive healing through this because I have. Or there's this other thing that you're going through and receiving healing. And I know that in my future, I could be going through something similar and receive healing. It's just this idea that everyone can receive healing and it's not too far off to believe that you can't, I guess.
Yeah. It opens up a new level of hope, for people that are open to it, right? I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
strongly, I think tissue work, can be and like everyone can receive that and have benefit. But as far as tuning into your own energy, there's the people that get on our tables need to be at a certain level of openness prior to starting. I
So
feel,
true.
anyways,
Well,
and
I'm
there's
always shocked by that because, or maybe recently I have been shocked by that because I thought that people just came to my table for pain if they didn't specifically sign up for energy work. But then the next couple months, I'm seeing them as a regular client, and I come to realize, like, no, these people are also energetically aligned. And that's why they're showing up on my table.
Yeah.
So
And having your hands on them might have elevated
that's very true. Yeah.
that capacity to receive, right? From day one compared to
Mm,
like 2 months down the road of them seeing you weekly, right? That openness, that rapport, that trust is like being established where they're like, okay, they may come in with that pain and want you just to massage them and are totally closed up, right? But as you get to know them and they feel you, in what you have to offer energetically, they might not even know what they're feeling, but they know when they leave, you make them better,
yes.
and they want more of that and they want to learn deeper levels of that with you. And
Mm,
that's really a beautiful thing. And that's something too, for me, there's a high value in that as far as my hands-on work with people, that
mm.
there's that level of guarding,
Yeah, I
right?
love
Compared to
that.
like that first energy session, sometimes their crown's a bit blocked. I know you can feel that, right? They're like blocking you out a little bit because they just
Hmm.
they don't know what to expect. But then the
Mm,
second one, they're more open. The third one, they're more open, and their body
very true.
responds, their nervous system responds faster and faster, and the muscles literally break down and release faster
They
and faster
do. Well, that's
with
something interesting about the muscles too, is sometimes I will have a client that comes in and they haven't asked for energy work. Maybe they don't even know that I did it because I didn't think there was somebody, like, I wasn't feeling it specifically. But then it's like time and time again, I'm like, wait, your muscles are still hard. Like, what's going on that I'm missing? And then I'm like, wait, have you tried energy work? And then they come in and they receive the energy work with the physical, and it's just like a totally different experience. And I can feel that that's what was supposed to happen all along.
yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a true gift to be able to give that to your people, and serve the world in your short period of time that you're on the planet, to do the right things, right? To help
Yeah.
others. I mean, that's the service of others is fulfilling, you
Yeah,
know.
it is fulfilling. Totally.
Could you see yourself doing anything different?
No, not at all. I often think, with massage therapy, obviously our body it's painful sometimes. And even sometimes with energy work, because it's an exchange of, I don't know, it's an exchange of energy. And so there are times where I go home and I'm like, oh man, my body hurts, my body aches. And in those moments, I'm just hoping that I'll be able to continue doing this for as long as I envision myself doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do for your self-care to keep you feeling your best?
I feel like I do a lot, and sometimes I feel like not enough. But really, for me, it does boil down to eating the right things, and if I want to feel the best in my gut, but which comes across in my work, because if my gut's not feeling good, I'm just not gonna give as good as of a massage. But as far as self-care, I think yoga is a must. It helps my body so much with stretching, and even like the mind-body connection that yoga makes is huge. Like sometimes it'll feel like my mind's just running a million miles an hour, but if I can go to yoga and let it all go and clear it out, then that helps. And then of course, meditation, baths, massage. I even have a infrared mat that has like crystals in it. And when it's been a couple weeks where I haven't been able to get a massage, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lay out on my mat and pass out. Uh, and then I have like the little S hook thing that you stick in your back and get those knots out. But
Yes.
there's
Infrared
always
mat. Oh, so good.
so
So good.
good.
So good. All
And
the
it's a
things
lot
you're
of my
doing is
clients.
so good.
So
Wonderful.
good.
We got to keep ourselves feeling our best, right?
We do.
We, that's how we serve others, right? It's by like really giving the self-care as often as needed.
Yeah, which I think is a lot for what we do. I feel like when we let that kind of slide, then it shows in our work.
Yeah. I'm happy to hear that you get massages.
I do. And energy work, both.
As a therapist, I hear from a lot that they don't ever get body work. I'm like, what?
I know. No, I'm like every 2 weeks, sometimes once a month if I can't do every 2 weeks, but I'm big into getting body work. I do have like my favorite massage therapist I go to, but I also like to span out and try others to feel what they're doing and see what I need to add in my own, sessions. So
It's very interesting how even if we've all gone to like the same local schools, right? We all come out with our own flavor of how we do things, right?
definitely,
And there's
definitely.
strengths and weaknesses. Do you want to share some of your strengths, skills,
Um,
technique, tricks of the trade that you might have?
Some of my strengths, I think, are just that I am very in tune with the body and what's going on. And if somebody else is in tune with their body, we could probably go on a session for hours and hours and hours, getting every single little muscle in detail. And, but I guess one of my weaknesses is if somebody's not in tune, then it's going to be harder for me to complete that massage to, I don't know, its full length, or it's just going to be more of a struggle. I really love deep tissue work. I love getting in there nice and slow and giving the muscles time to break down, but getting in really deep. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion that can come up with that kind of stuff too, the deeper work,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, is if you're stuffing something, a trauma or a grief or something or anger for a long time, it feels like the longer you hold it, the more to the midline it goes, right? The deeper towards your spine, like in that low back pain. You got to
yes,
just get your thumbs in there really deep and loosen it up as close to the vertebrae as you can. And it's like stuff that's been stuck in there for years and years and years and years and years,
totally. I used to
you know.
not even like allow my low back to really get massage. It would just be kind of like the fluff stuff, like really light strokes going through, but now I'm like, get in there, get in the low back. But
Take a running start with your elbows, please.
yeah.
WWF style. Yes, yes, very good. So, do you have any plans to do any other modalities and add anything else to your business other than Reiki and massage?
I do access bars as well, which is another energy modality. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or
Can you explain to the
yeah,
audience a little bit more
yeah. So
clearly? And I
it's
want to talk about Reiki too, but let's do access bars first and share that, and then we'll
Yeah,
kind of
it's a light touch modality where there's 32 different points on your brain, your head that are kind of held. It's almost like a polarity thing because you hold one end and then the other, and you just let what they call your bars run. But there's different bars for like money, creativity, control, relationships. So there's 32 of all these different ones, and it really just helps to, I think, clear the brain, but also it helps to change our point of view or our judgments or perceptions we store and hold on to.
does it work with the subconscious somehow?
I believe it does. I think it also is another thing where it depends on how somebody is, what they're in tune with, or if they're wanting to kind of work on the subconscious level, then I think that's probably what's gonna happen. Like one point when I was getting my bars run, I actually saw my soul. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, this is a modality I'm gonna learn someday because I really found so much relief from that session because I grew up in a home where the religion that I was in kind of made me feel like my soul was damaged and dark. And so me seeing my soul as this like bright, beautiful, like golden yellow color, it was just so expansive and free that I was like, this is incredible. And I was just holding points on my head. So
That's so beautiful, to
yeah,
have these kind of tools that make profound healing shifts for you in your
yeah.
life. Great. So when you do access bars, is there a feeling of vibrational flow happening there?
I feel like there is. So sometimes if I'm holding a bar and there's a lot going on in that particular one, like there's one called an implant band, and that's where we store kind of like all of our things that have happened recently, all of our like memories. It's actually huge. There's more to it than that. But and sometimes those points that I'm holding will get extremely hot. The points themselves, not
Mm,
just my hands. Like in Reiki, a lot of times it's like I can feel my hands getting warm and energy flowing through them. But with the bars, I can feel right on those points are just like burning up, or sometimes it'll feel like pulses of energy flowing back and forth.
very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Love that.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So that's a great segue into Reiki.
It is. Yeah.
So let's talk about, can you tell me about Reiki school and what you learned there and just give the audience just a 101 on what Reiki is and how it
Yeah,
works?
so I went to just a Reiki master, so I wanted more of a one-on-one experience, which is something you can do as somebody who wants to learn Reiki. You can go to a classroom and learn with other people if you feel more inclined to that, or do the one-on-one mentorship, which was more something that called to me. Maybe it's my introverted self or I like to be more vulnerable and close, I think, in settings. So I did several different sessions with my Reiki master, and they were each about 5 to 6 hours. And we just spent like focused time learning about Reiki, getting the attunements, which they actually like essentially attune Reiki to you. So it's something that is more, I don't even know if I would call it just internally learned versus it's not like there's a series of steps you have to learn. I mean, there can be if somebody knows like nothing about it, but I also went to school in massage and learned about chakras, and I was already doing chakra healing and chakra work before I stepped into being a Reiki practitioner. So I think it kind of allowed me to learn Reiki in less time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, my first session when I got my attunement was very intense. I felt like my entire body was on fire. And there's lots of things throughout the next few weeks that just happened where it was just like I could tell my body, my spirit, my mind was like attuning, I guess, to a higher frequency. Um, and yeah, so I guess like you want me to talk about Reiki itself and how that, or do you have any questions from that?
Can you share maybe one experience with a client where something really cool happened?
Yeah. So
That's always a fun topic.
so fun. I think my most profound moment with a client was someone who came in for regular sessions. And one day she came in and she was like, I really want to get pregnant. And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll see what comes up in the session, basically. And I'm working on her and I get this feeling. I just tell her, I'm like, you should do womb healing and maybe find somebody who does that. And then my brain was like, wait, you can do that. Like, you have the ability to heal right here, right now. And so we started to do a lot of work on her sacral area and just different things that came up and whatnot. But then I was on her third eye and I specifically heard the message to tell her that she needed to start to prepare a room for a baby and she needed to tell her husband that they were going to start preparing a room. Come to find out, I see her in 3 weeks. She's pregnant.
Mm,
And
it's beautiful.
yeah, she like hugged me and she thanked me. And she was like crying. And she's just like, thank you so much for all that womb work we did. And I don't know, I just think like our capacity to heal is sometimes so much greater than we even realize.
Hmm. Yeah, because that womb space, there was something blocking there, right? That ability
Yeah,
to conceive some
totally.
sort of emotional trauma or or abuse or who knows
Yeah.
what it is, but there was something there creating an obstacle for conception. Did you
Yeah.
pick up on anything when you were working on her down
Yeah,
in
I know
like
there
what
was
could be
like
blocking it?
I know there was definitely like some mother stuff, some mother relationship stuff with her own mom, and I think there was some ancestral um lineage stuff as well, if I
Mm.
remember correctly. That was a while ago now, but yeah.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Have you heard from her? Has the baby come yet, or has it been a couple
Baby,
years?
baby's not come yet, but I'm supposed to see her next week. So yeah,
Oh,
I'm super excited.
nice. Energy work with pregnant women is just such
Oh,
a beautiful thing,
so beautiful.
you
It's
know?
amazing. I know I had one lady who's pregnant, and afterwards she was like, well, I saw her the next week, and she said to me, she goes, I just felt like my baby was happy after I saw you. And she's like, so I just knew I was supposed to continue healing. And I don't know, it's just so beautiful.
It is such a magical thing, to have that telepathy,
Yeah.
right, with your unborn baby and be able to put your hand on the belly and communicate, you know. I've had
Yeah.
clients tell me that baby wanted them to eat certain foods,
Hmm.
like a certain nutrient was lacking,
Yeah.
or rest more or hydrate more. Like they would tell me that baby told them these things. And
Wow.
it's all like intuitive hits and telepathy communication back and forth, but it was all part of the teamwork,
Right.
right? When
Right.
you can
That's beautiful.
connect. And gosh, it was very cool to get that kind of feedback,
It's
you
really
know.
cool. I often think about like if I was to have another baby, would the experience be different now that I feel like I am more in tune with my intuition and different things? Because
Mm,
before, I don't know if I specifically felt that deep connection, but I feel like now if it were to happen, then there would be more of that.
yeah, absolutely. And my assumption would be it would go way smoother,
Yeah.
and you'd have more of an attunement there, which would just create such a solid bond when baby comes, right?
Yeah, totally.
Even prior to. That's wonderful, wonderful. So we talked about your inspiring moment. I wanted to hear at least one story. Um, do you have anything that you want to share as far as uh, your healing journey yourself? Anything that you've maybe overcome that you had these profound ahas or some sort of transformational experience that you may want to share that could benefit someone that's listening?
I mean, like I know I shared, I guess, my soul experience. I have had so many different moments with energy healing. Like every single chakra I feel like has gone through its own um journey to get to healing, I guess. My sacral chakra, I've had a lot of work in going to see my healer, who she said like she could tell things were like moving out through with like waves, I guess. And it kind of felt like that at the time, like I was having waves of emotions, like something would hit me and I'm like, "Ooh, okay, time to clear that out." And then like after that though, after receiving healing from a healer, I did my own womb work, and I would oftentimes soak in just like a Epsom salt bath and focus on my sacral chakra and allow like healing to come to that area and flow through it. But I think I feel like there's a lot of us women that sacral chakra is a huge area for us to receive healing
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yes, yes. It's a vulnerable place for us, right?
It is,
As
yeah,
women, you know, even
totally.
if we haven't had any trauma, it's still
Yeah,
vulnerable, right? It's where we create life from. It's important to take care of that part of our body. Like all the energy centers need love, but that one specifically, I think deserves more time,
yeah, I think it,
know?
and I think there's a lot of layers to it too. Like sometimes we uncover one and then it's like, okay, I have to also focus on this now and clear that out or send love to that. Or, yeah,
Yeah, and that healing, that womb space for women can also promote healing in the whole lower three,
yeah,
energy centers for those that have digestive issues or struggles with their cycles, or like you said,
Totally.
trouble getting pregnant,
So after
or
my sacral work I did, it's almost been like one chakra after another that I'm like, okay, time to focus on that. But I was having all these issues with my GI stuff. I went to the doctors and got like blood work and stool samples, just all kinds of things. Come to find out they didn't have an answer, of course, or I shouldn't say of course, but a lot of times it's really hard, I think, with Western medicine to get the answers we're looking for. But I did find out that like my potassium was low through my blood work. Like I researched it and I was like, oh, it's kind of on the lower levels. But basically, I then went and did some energy work, and she solely focused on my solar plexus area and basically the areas that I felt like were affected in my body were was what she brought up as well. And so I definitely feel like there's a lot of healing that can happen even on a physical level with Reiki and chakra work.
yeah, absolutely. Breaking down those barriers, right? To kind of get
Yeah.
into the more tender stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And clearing it out. Yeah. And that can help a
Totally.
lot with pelvic pain and, even pain that goes down the legs, ankles,
Mm.
knees, stuff that's being
Mhm.
held on. A lot of future fears and anxiety and stuff can hang out in those areas and
Yes.
clench up, literally clench, right? And you can lock down to try to protect yourself from a lot of stuff. And the
Yeah.
energy then stops flowing as well.
Very
And then it's
true.
just a kind of circular thing that just continues on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. It's important, I think, to give time to each energy center individually. When you do meditations, a lot of times when you like listen to them on YouTube and stuff, it's all of them all at once.
Yeah. I
It's
know.
like a balancing of all of them in one
Yes.
meditation. I think it's hugely beneficial to focus on one at a time. I think that's really smart of you to just nurture and love on one center, get a good solid feeling in a baseline that you want to feel,
Yeah.
and like feel into that baseline of where that's comfortable for you, where you feel real good, and then work on the next one.
Totally. And I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it is more than one too. Like during my last Reiki attunement, even though I'd done all this sacral work, it came up again. And I was like, okay, here we go. But it wasn't just my sacral, it was like my throat chakra too. And so it was making the connection, I think, between how I'm feeling and how that's also expressing itself. And
Mm,
yeah, so working through that.
very good. And did you feel a connection between the two?
Yes. Yes,
Good.
definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what was in the throat that was feeling stuck that was linked to the sacral?
I think it is a part of, I guess, owning my energy work and what I do and how that plays out in my career and allowing myself to at times be smaller or maybe put myself in a box versus allowing myself to be fully expressive no matter what.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful because us woohoos, we're very outside the box, aren't we? that's that's where we like to hang out most of the
Yeah.
time. It's like everyone can just kind of keep up if you can.
It's so funny because I am almost, I don't know if I would say like the opposite of that, but a lot of people, when they receive my energy work, they're like, wow, you're very grounded, or you're very like, it doesn't seem like you're way up here. And I think it's just because I'm a Taurus. And so I just naturally tend to be more earthy and more, but there are definitely times when I can get caught up in the headspace too.
Yeah, yeah, very good. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate your time. And you can certainly speak a little on your business and give some contact info so people can reach out to you if they want to try your services.
Yeah. So you can find me at rayahopewellness.com, or my Instagram is also Rayah Hope Wellness, and that's RAYAH and then Hope. So there's two H's in it. because Hope's my middle name. So that's kind of where I go with that, like Ray of Hope, which is really my vision and my, I guess, aspiration is to be able to allow all clients to feel that hope themselves and to feel that light.
That's a beautiful message, and it's your name. It's like so meant to be.
Yeah.
What a beautiful name for a business.
Thank you. I
It's
feel
just
very
like
lucky.
it's a just a beautiful coincidence.
I know. I love it. I really do.
Very,
It
very
took
cool.
me, it's funny because it took me a while to like accept it growing up, but now I'm like, it's just a part of me. It's just who I am. So
Yeah. Do you have any social media for those that aren't local that want to maybe learn from you?
any
Do you have
social media.
YouTube? Do you have any YouTube or
No, no
anything like that?
YouTube.
Not yet.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Okay. So say it again, your email and your website for those listening.
So my website is rayahopewellness.com. And then my email is rayahhope@gmail. And then my Instagram is also just Rayah Hope Wellness.
And if they wanted to book an appointment with you,
Mhm.
how would they do that?
They could reach out to me either through Instagram or just straight through the website. They should be able to book.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Rayah. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate you spending some time here with me and sharing some of your story.
Well, I really appreciate it. Just in general, me getting to think about the things that I do and what I love for a living. It was really beautiful for me to be able to even look at that and think on all that. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
beautiful, beautiful. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, Rayah,
You
and we'll
too.
talk with you soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Good job. All right, recording. That's a wrap for today, folks. Thanks for spending the time with me. And don't forget to check the notifications below on my social media links, my YouTube channel with self-care and meditations, as well as my omshantihealing.com website where you can get info on spiritual coaching and my online courses. And as always, if you do enjoy my podcast, don't forget to subscribe or sponsor below. We'll talk to you soon. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye-bye.